Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of The Devils by Joe Abercrombie. This is a book that came out May 6th, 2025 from Tor. It is a fantasy novel. You have probably heard of it. I listened to this book on Audible in one weekend. It was a long weekend, okay, I'll give you that. But I was honestly obsessed with it. I actually listened to it like at night. I couldn't stop listening. I think I neglected my children. I think they're in the woods somewhere now. I don't really know. And then when I finished it, I did something I hadn't done in years because I'm so incredibly cheap. And that is that I bought the damn hardcover. That is how much I enjoyed this absolutely wild novel. The narrator of the audiobook also did a fantastic job. He did all the accents and all the voices, and it was so funny. I just thought it was so great. And this hardcover is really pretty. It's got like the kind of pictures on the inside, which is neat. I didn't really look at it actually. There's other pictures on the back too. Anyway, so getting into the book itself, this book is worth the hype if you've seen it around on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever. It's a grimdark fantasy with a hell of a lot of subversive humor, great action and battle scenes, a wonderful world building, amazing characters, and even some romance. And it's all the types of romance that I'm into. Yes, all of them. If you follow my channel, you know what kind of romance I prefer above all else, and it has to deal with monsters. So anyway, in case you haven't heard grimdark or dark fantasy or aren't sure what to expect from this sort of fantasy, there's no sexual violence in this book or torture, thank you. There is blood and gore though, lots and lots of violence, but there's so much that it travels into the realm of the absurd, so it's entertaining rather than disturbing, at least how I find it for me. And I think it's the tone as well. The tone of the book is not super serious. It's not serious at all, I would say. It's more kind of like a romp. So the violence that happens in it, you're just like, this is ridiculous. Like it's fun in that way. Anyway, I haven't even gotten to what this book is about yet. Before I do, yes, there will be a spoiler section at the end for me to go on and on and on about certain things that I won't talk about in the review itself because of spoilers. You probably figured that out. I could have just said there's a spoiler section, but I haven't had enough coffee today and I'm excited to talk about this, so I'm a bit rambly. So what is this book about? Holy work sometimes requires unholy deeds. Brother Diaz has been summoned to the sacred city, where he is certain a commendation and a grand holy assignment awaits him. But his new flock is made up of unrepentant murderers, practitioners of ghastly magic, and outright monsters. The mission he is tasked with will require bloody measures from them all in order to achieve its righteous ends. Elves lurk at our borders and hunger for our flesh, while greedy princes care for nothing but their own ambitions and comfort. With an epic hellish journey before him, it's a good thing Brother Diaz has the devils on his side. Super fun. I requested this book on NetGalley twice. I requested it from, as a EPUB, and I requested it as an audiobook, and I was denied. So, that's saying a lot that I actually went out and paid for it. So, I'm going to jump in with this one. Again, there's no spoilers in this review until the end. So, the world building. If you are a religious person, specifically Catholic, you might find this book offensive. I don't know, because I'm very much not a religious person. I thought it was hilarious. So the book is set in an alternate early Renaissance sort of era Europe, where Troy is still a city and women are allowed to be part of the church. In fact, the Pope is a woman, and in this case, a 10-year-old girl who is said to be the second coming of the daughter of God. So we have certain things about our Earth that are like twisted or warped or flipped, as well as magic and elves existing. So what's really fun about this world build is that it requires and gives you almost no exposition. So it's really easy to just get into it and become immersed. And if you know your European history, it's even more fun because you kind of get the jokes or, the ways that things were changed. I thought it was an absolute blast. And it's funny because, as I said, he doesn't explain kind of anything at the start, but you're like, wait a minute, why are there women priests? And you're like, wait, where is he? Is this supposed to be like the Vatican? And you're like, wait a second, you're kind of like piecing it together. And I thought that was really fun how it didn't hold your hand and didn't tell you all of this. Anyway, I thought that was great. The plot is, I think, something that I've seen other reviews that didn't like the book as much, and I think the plot might be one of those things. It's my absolute favorite in fantasy. It's a quest narrative with no strict timeline. We have a group of people forced to work together who have to get to a place, but the length of the journey gives them time to grow as a group and learn to care about one another and us about them. I really like that. I really love stories where, I don't like when there's oh, you have to get there in 2 days. Now, I'd rather have it we have to get there at some point, because then it gives them time to stop at certain places, and the tension comes from the places that they're stopping at and not from having to get there at this amount of time. I mean, it feels like you're like trying to get to work in that way, and I don't really like that. Now, when it comes to the characters, of course, Vega is my favorite character. I will say nothing else about her until the spoilers, but almost every scene that she's in had me laughing. She is a hoot with a capital H. She is so funny. And then we have Balthazar. So I have a problem. I will explain what the problem is. When I was 13, when I was a young lass, I started reading Dragonlance. My angsty teenaged ass developed a strong crush on Raistlin, a grouchy, pretentious wizard. Ever since then, this has imprinted on me, and one of my top male book types has been grouchy, pretentious wizards. Balthazar is 100% a grouchy, pretentious wizard and a necromancer, so, like, the total package. A complete Dorcas. I loved him. I was like, oh my god, no, not a book crush. And the others I also really liked. Like, there was no character that I didn't like. Even the priest. So it took me a while for him to, like, grow on me, because he was kind of whiny at the start. And I really liked how they grew as a team despite their constant bickering and insults. And that's another aspect of the book I really enjoyed. I love a good forced to work together group dynamic where everyone finds one another the absolute worst, but then they kind of become begrudging friends, or, like, you know, develop deeper feelings for one another. I just love how all of that develops. And I will agree. I will say all of the characters are quite hyperbolic, but they're also really, really fun. As I said earlier, like, this book is more of a romp than anything. So if you go into it expecting it not to be like a serious psychological drama where characters are like suffering and sacrificing and stuff like that, you will probably enjoy it. If you go in there thinking this is going to be like a very serious book, I think that's where kind of the problem lies, because it's not serious. The battle and fight scenes I thought were awesome. There are a lot of them. They are sprawling. They jump back and forth from different characters. There's multiple, like, last stands. In fact, the chapter title, like, jokes about that. But I found that none of them got repetitive, because, like, each one someone got, like, the chance to shine and, like, save the day, and I thought that was really fun. The book also breaks the characters into smaller groups at one point, which kept the momentum going. Not like I needed it. I seriously had my earbuds in all day just listening constantly. That's the other thing about this book I really liked. If you follow my channel, you know that I love multiple point of view, third person specifically. So third person multi-point of view, I was like, I'm 100% on board. It's my favorite. I love that. Another thing I also really enjoyed was a vast improvement from the First Law trilogy, which I did enjoy. I have it up on my shelves. Something probably, it's up taller up there, because I organized my book by alphabetical by author. So the First Law trilogy, while it is fun and has one of the best titles, The Last Argument of Kings, is woefully bereft of women. There are maybe 3 or 4 women in the entire book who do anything, or entire trilogy who do anything. But Red Country resolved that for me, got me back into him. I haven't read his other series, so going into this, I was like, okay, we're probably gonna get like 2 women out of like 7. But no, there's gender parity in the cast. I was like, oh yay! We've come a long way in fantasy since the early 2000s, thankfully. Ever since 2010, I've noticed a marked difference in how women are treated in fantasy, especially fantasy written by men. This has allowed for a real breadth of women characters as well. When you only have 2 or 3 women in an entire cast, including minor characters, they're often reduced to certain roles. But when you have more women, you can give them more nuance and broader characterization, as their defining trait isn't the fact that they are women. And so I just wanted to say that, because I know a lot of women that don't gravitate towards fantasy written by men because they worry that there's going to be no one that they can identify with, or that, women are just going to be there as set dressing or like princesses to be rescued kind of thing. No, this book has a lot of really, really strong female characters in it, and they're all crazy too, just like everybody in the book. Anyway, the writing overall is super immersive and moves at a quick pace. At least I thought it did. There was some repetition that might have been only noticeable because it was an audiobook, but I don't know, I've saw other reviews saying that there were repetitive parts as well. I didn't really mind. I mean, I will say that Alexis saying, oh God, repeatedly was a bit annoying. I was kind of done with that when she said it like the 50th time. So that could have been cut, but I mean, it was also kind of funny because she's like 17, like this poor thing. Anyway, to wrap up before I talk about spoilers, I'm just going to say that if you love irreverent stories, you will probably enjoy this. But be prepared that everything you think is going to happen probably will happen, and then some. There's nothing super surprising about this book. You're not going to get a major twist at the end at all. Like, really. The twists come, like, kind of along with the small stops that they make. There's things that entertaining, fun things that happen there that you don't expect, but the overall plot, there's nothing, yeah, that kind of makes it stand out. Um, I will say the book has one of the best, oh my god, wait, I'm attracted to this person scenes that I have ever read. I died laughing. I had to like send it back in my audiobook like a minute and like listen to it again because I was laughing forever. The book also had me despondent for about 3 days due to another turn of events. I can't believe you did me like that. Overall, I loved it. It's not perfect, but really, what's perfect? Me? I mean, sure, I'll take it. Thank you so much for checking out my review. I'm going to go into some spoilers now. It's more just me talking on and on about stuff, but they're probably going to be funny because I'm a ridiculous person and I'm fine with that. Just like this book. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's kind of what I like about it. I love it. So I'm not going to thank anybody because I thank myself for spending money on $30 on this. I don't regret it. Okay, spoiler time. Okay, so when Vega first comes out of the wagon, I thought to myself, I'm like, it'd be awesome if she was a woman and not a man werewolf. And then she was a woman, and I was like, love it. You never see female werewolves. Everything about her was just so incredible. I love that she's big and beefy, but that's shown to be attractive. And I love that she was a Nordic werewolf. The scene where she and the other werewolf were fighting, and then that leads to something else, was hilarious. I mean, I expected that to happen. From the instant that another male werewolf was hunting them down, I'm like, oh yeah, these two are gonna screw for sure. But I still thought it was funny. It's kind of fun when the things that you kind of hope happen actually happen. Yeah. Vega and Diaz's relationship, I was rooting for the entire time. As soon as he would couldn't look at her because he found her attractive, I was like, are these two gonna have a monster fucker relationship? Because I love that. Obviously she wasn't in werewolf form when it happened. Okay, fine. But the tension between the two of them I thought was absolutely fantastic. And then the little speeches they gave after the plague pit battle, I was like, oh, it's so sweet. But also, I love a forbidden romance reveal. Almost more than the romance itself. Like when they have to admit to people that they're a couple. I don't know, I love that. Speaking of romance, how dare Abercrombie drag out that enemies to lovers between Balthazar and Baptiste and then kill her off? I was like, no! So it was Sunday night. I'm near the end of this book. I'm folding the laundry in my room. And and then Balthazar's trying to get through the gate. And then Vega descends on Baptiste and Diaz. And I was like, no. I knew it. I was like, oh God, please don't. I actually I was so upset. I was like, maybe they can bring her back at some point. I'm like, oh no. I honestly had to lie down and throw my hand over my forehead like a Victorian lady dying because I was bereft. Anyway, I also love the little romance between Alex and Sunny. That was so cute, little young love. I really liked the lavender marriage between Alex and Arcturus. I kind of expected it. When he came in the room, I was like, they're not going to do a spousal sexual assault scene here. Come on. Given the rest of the book, and none of that had happened. And, and she's 17. I was like, no, come on. And then, then he proposed this other arrangement. And I was like, oh, this is great. This is really nice. I love this for them. And then I was like, this is too easy. And of course, he died. He had a cool death, but I was like, man, I liked that. When Balthazar summoned that demon and she was like, oh no, I can't help you here, that was so funny. I laughed for so long. I also really liked that every time Balthazar got the upper hand of another wizard, I was always like, yeah, my boy, you can do it. There were other things, but I think I've talked long enough about this book. If you couldn't tell, I really liked it. If you didn't like it, I mean, good for you. There's tons of books that are popular that I don't like. You can talk about it in the comments. Go for it. But you know what? This book brought me a lot of joy. I thought it was a lot of fun. I couldn't stop reading it. I can't wait for the second part. So, yeah. Thanks.